Welcome back to Maximum News. I'm your host, as always, your friendly neighborhood Simpsons Ken, Max Derrat, and I'm joined, as always, by Sybsidian of the Triple S League. He's on call. I got a really busy week ahead of me, so let's just jump right into the gaming news because there's a lot of it. Syb, Sony State of Play. I wasn't expecting a whole lot, to be honest. My opinion of Sony's kind of in the tank at the moment, as it is for a lot of other people. But hey, at least they're not Ubisoft, but we will be getting to them in a moment. But they did do a State of Play this past week, and maybe it was because my attitude towards the company is kind of in the crapper at the moment, but it was okay. It was solid. I'd say it's like a 6 out of 10. If I'm being generous, a 7 out of 10. I gave it that mostly because some of the indie titles that they showed off were really looked really interesting, along with a couple of surprises. I can definitely get to Legacy of Kain and Ghost of Yote in a second. But it was, it's dragged down kind of significantly by more PS5 Pro stuff, the VR stuff, which, who the hell, VR. Anyway, Dragon Age and all that. But overall, I'm glad that I watched it, and hopefully, it'll just be on an upward trajectory from there for the next one. But I'll go over some of the things that sort of stood out to me, and then Syb, I'll throw it over to you, okay? I suppose as far as the indie titles I just mentioned ago, Fear the Spotlight, that was like one that was mentioned back in the summer during like that whole quote unquote E3 period during the summer. When it was, I think it was announced at the Summer Game Fest with Jeff Keighley, and it's part of like the Blumhouse film production trying to go into the realm of games, financing horror games. I think that was a part of it. Looks really interesting. Same with the Midnight Walk. I think that's a new one that was just announced, not by Blumhouse, totally different studio, but it was the one that looked like it had a Tim Burton type of art style. I think it was stop motion. I can't, I have to look at it again. I'm sorry. But yeah, that sort of stuff looked really interesting. The one that sort of came out of nowhere that I knew nothing about was Arcade Chronicles. I think this one, given what I know about your taste, probably stood out to you as well. Apparently, it's a follow-up to an MMO that came out in 2013 that I never really knew existed. It's like the original one was called Arcade, and then this one coming out is called Arcade Chronicles, and it's supposed to be a sequel. It's not going to be an MMO from what I understand, but it's being referred to as an online action RPG. So I guess it's pulling back on some of the more massively multiplayer online aspects. It's still going to have stuff like epic scale raids and loot and stuff like that. The biggest difference that I'm able to extract from looking at the gameplay from the old game and from this one is that the combat seems to have taken a serious uplift. Like in the original game, it looked very simple, kind of like Elder Scrolls Online-esque type of combat. But now it looks like a cross between Souls and Dragon's Dogma. Something like that a little bit. And it looks really, really interesting. It's a beautiful looking world. Interesting combat. I might check it out as long as it's not too much of a time commitment, but I don't know. Now, go ahead.
I gotta correct you on one thing,
Please.
on a few things. So it actually is, as far as I understand, as far as everything that I've looked up, this is actually still an MMO.
Oh, okay.
And what's cool about this is that this is, I would say, one of the first MMOs ever that is basically just a very like this is a Dark Souls type combat game. The combat in it is very, very Dark Soulsy. It's not perfectly Dark Souls, but it's more Dark Souls than any other MMO we've ever had ever.
Okay.
So there's lots of action, movement, combat, stamina bar. The attacks are very hard hitting, and you have to like dodge, parry, get out of the way of stuff. And they're doing this. And this is the main reason why I wanted to talk about it, is that they're doing this in the confines of it being a massive MMO where you're playing with dozens and dozens of other people in some of these encounters, supposedly. We have to see it come out. Obviously, we've had issues in the past where games have come out. We just had it with a couple of recent releases where it was promising to be one thing, but over development, it changed so massively because they just couldn't keep up with certain technical or design elements. So we're still kind of crossing our fingers. We're still kind of saying, yeah, let's hope that this is going to be good, because
Yeah.
I hope this is going to be good, because this is the kind of evolution that MMOs need. MMOs are, I mean, it's not just MMOs. It's not just like, things like WoW and a couple other ones. It is literally, and I say this like very sincerely, MMOs are a core part of the brilliant design of gaming, and it needs to improve, or we're going to be like, that genre needs to improve to allow for the next generation of games to really show up and do things that we haven't seen any games do before. Like, we're entering an age where we're going to have like these massive like worlds to explore and build and whatnot. So this is kind of a step in the right direction, because it's offering something that's actually new. Because having played basically every MMO that's come out over the past like 2 decades, I can honestly say there's very little new created with the genre.
Sure.
So I'm excited for this, because this is taking the Dark Souls kind of gameplay that is in a lot, Bloodborne and Elden Ring and that kind of stuff. You're taking that kind of combat and you're saying, let's make an MMO out of this.
Yeah.
Which, for some bizarre reason, nobody's ever tried before.
Yeah, well, it's because it'd be really difficult, So kudos to them for
Right.
at least giving it a shot. But yeah, like the prospect of Dark Souls plus MMO, if it could be pulled off, is really intriguing. Now, I don't know if it can be. I think that the only game that this company has worked on was the original Arcade, but that's like a decade of experience. Maybe they could put it to some good use. By the way, you're right. Like, I double checked my work. I looked up what other outlets are saying about Arcade, and some of them are calling it an MMO. But the article that I looked at from Games Radar is it's said that it's not an MMO, but it's an online action RPG. I don't know. I'll take your word for it. I'll take all these other ones. Maybe it's just a whole bunch of like fancy speak trying to say no, it's not an MMO, but it really is. Either way, yeah,
It is, and that's why I preface it, because what we have a whole bunch of like weird categories. This is in Unreal 5, and but on the Steam page, this not the popular user defined tags, because that's always, you can't always go by that, because
sure.
people can put anything in there. But under the actual like qualifications that it calls itself, it has listed both MMO, online PvP, and online co-op.
Great. Okay.
So-
I'm all about it.
So that's what they're saying. That's what they're showcasing. There is a bunch of video footage of the game where you can tell that there's like dozens of other players running around a city. So yeah, and that's what their soul is. And I would say Arcade is one of the more successful MMOs, because they tried new things, and I kind of figured that they would do this.
Mhm.
But yeah, this is like very much like high skill ceiling type gameplay, very like big fights. So I'm really excited to see this, because this is finally offering that Dark Soulsy gameplay, not only in a group format. And there's a couple of video footages here where there's at least 5 people, and there's 1 or 2 scenes where looks like there's 10 fighting in a fight. So we're looking at like raids and like large group sizes.
Yeah, I love that.
And the story, apparently there's quite a bit of like good story, I'm told. So I'm like, well, it's still really early on. There's no demo. This is the first kind of showcase. At the very least, looks like it's like 5-player co-op.
Mhm.
But I suspect that that'll probably end up growing, because that's what I'm seeing in some of the other shots here. So I'm really excited about this, because I think it's about time that the games industry started to really push on some of the genres and evolve stuff quickly, because we haven't been getting a lot of that. We've been getting a lot of like,
Safe ideas.
more graphics, still, sir, can we play the game at 60 FPS? No, no. What are you, stupid? I mean, we promised that like 30 years ago. We're not going in that direction. Just more graphics. That's what we've had for the last like 15, 20 years in most gaming, and we haven't really seen a lot of the other potential elements that you could push, and for like multiplayer, like big worlds with lots of stuff. And then the other thing I tack onto this is we saw even more from Monster Hunter Wilds, and that
Yeah.
looks again like they're pushing something that's very, very different. And I'm like, these are both great examples of what the industry needs to like push general older genres that not many people play into something that's kind of newer. So yeah.
Yep, Capcom's killing it, man. Monster Hunter Wilds is going to be my first Monster Hunter game. Mark my words, I am definitely playing that in February. I don't care if it takes up a whole bunch of time. I will make time for that game because it looks so good. Let's see what else stood out to me. Legacy of Kain. Obviously, like how many times have I talked about how awesome Legacy of Kain is on this podcast side, and it has finally been confirmed that the stuff that like the leaks from San Diego Comic-Con were in fact real. Gotta say, I'm a little bit disappointed by what was done here. I was expecting maybe like 20% more effort into the way like the game was remastered, because it doesn't look all that different. Like, sure, Raziel, he looks like, when he's in Soul Reaver 1, it looks like he has his model from Soul Reaver 2, but slightly updated. That's kind of, I don't know. Look, I'm still going to buy it because I want Legacy of Kain to come back. I want to support the damn thing, and I'm probably going to enjoy playing the hell out of it. I just wish that there was a little bit more imagination put into it, because right now at the moment, it just looks like a lot of... It might not be AI upscaling, but it looks like AI upscaling, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'll buy it. Everybody else should buy it. But yeah, I was expecting a little bit more. Alan Wake 2, we finally know when the second piece of DLC is coming out. It's coming out next month. Definitely playing the crap out of that, because Alan Wake 2 was my game of the year last year. But obviously, Sybe, they saved the best for last. We finally have got the name and the release window for the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Yote. Dude, this game looks great. In-engine trailer looks great. I mean, and that's... I mean, the original game looked great, but this just looks stellar. Like that shot when she's riding through the fields and all the horses running around her. That was just mwah. I cannot wait to climb that giant ass mountain too. And if you guys look at like the map of where Yote is in Japan, it's like 5 times as large as Tsushima was. Man, I'm going to. This looks so freaking good, dude. I cannot wait. So yeah, right. Yeah. What'd you think, man?
It looks great. Again, this is one of these titles that I'm like, all right, this is hopefully them doing it right, because I think that Assassin's Creed, there's a lot of problems with that, and having another game that's gonna do the basically, it's like similar setting, similar location, well, sort of samey location, right? It's like heart of Japan, right? So it's like that. Can they do it properly?
Yeah,
that's the big question, and that's the thing that I'm hoping to see. So yeah, that's kind of a big one. Is like we really need to see this like done right, done well, that kind of stuff, because again, this is something that people have been excited for. I want to see a little bit more from it, because again, I can't. It's not just this game. It's every game. It's like I've got to see from every game.
Yeah,
because we have so many problems with what people are promised and offered and what we're actually getting. So yeah, hopefully it's good, because yeah.
Did you ever get a chance to play Ghost of Tsushima, like even when it came out on PC?
A little bit, but not like it's not hyper my jam. Like it's the storytelling is like 100%, it's great, but the
Open world and
the
all that.
like I like open world games, but I like open world games that have a little bit more of a sci-fi feel to them. I'm not huge on historical. Now play that in Civ, and you got me, going.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, that's fair enough, man. Yeah, the Ghost of Tsushima when it came out, that was easily my game of the year that year. I've been waiting for this for the past 4 years. Looks like Sucker Punch has been cooking. Cannot wait to play this game next year. The only thing that'll suck though is if GTA 6 comes along and did what GTA 5 did for me. It will surpass Ghosts of Yote as my game of the year, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, that does it pretty much for the state of play. Yeah. Do you want to assign like a score out of 10, Sybe, or do you want to just move on?
So here's the thing: is like pretty much every single one of the really good games that we saw also coming to PC.
Yes.
So that's a good sign. That's a very good sign. I like that sign. That's a healthy sign. But the fact that they never showed that in any of the ads, like it was like PlayStation, 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 and that was it. That's all you saw. I was like, huh, that's very that's very telling. That's very interesting.
Really makes you think, that Bart Simpson meme. All right, yeah, and yeah, you're right. I'm pretty much going to play most of these on the PC. I don't imagine like looking at the list. So I mean, Ghost of Yote will probably be PlayStation exclusive. That'll be the only one I'll get it just because I trust Sucker Punch. But yeah, I'll pretty much get the rest of this on PC. Anyway, what'd you guys think of the state of play list on the comment section below? Am I being a little bit too generous with my 6 or 7 out of 10? Love to hear what you guys think. All right. Moving on to the next thing. Obviously, one of the other big game showcases that happens every year is... Wait, does Tokyo Game Show happen every year, or is it every 2 years? I think it happens every year.
Yeah, I thought it was every year. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Why do I get the feeling that it happens every 2 years? Anyway, it's happening right now. Actually, literally before we record this podcast, I was watching the Death Stranding 2 thing just to see if any more gameplay footage showed up, but there wasn't anything there. Like, I guess they were just showing off some of their technology because we got to see like a music video featuring like characters from the I don't know what the hell that was. Just a big waste of time, basically, just hearing a whole bunch of Japanese people speaking, which I couldn't understand what they were saying. But there have been other interesting things coming out of the Tokyo Game Show so far. Mostly just people promoting stuff that is coming out like within the next month or so, like people promoting Metaphor ReFantazio, obviously, which, by the way, guys, pick up that demo for the game. It's like a free 6 hours of gameplay and your progress carries over to the main game. It's freaking great. If you guys love like Persona, or like Persona 5, Persona 4, or Persona 3 Reload, which came out recently, this is that, but like fantasy and open world, quasi open world. Yeah, it's great. I'm loving it. Anyway, but as for like stuff that is sort of a long ways out and stuff that I'm really excited for, well, damn it, I shouldn't say a long ways out because one of the things I'm going to mention is Slitterhead. It's made by the same guy who made the original Silent Hill, Keiichiro Toyama. He also made Gravity Rush and Siren. Really, really good game developer. And, I'm going to play Slitterhead no matter what, but Sybe, every time I see this game, I'm of two minds. I cannot help but think that, wow, this looks really neat and inventive, and then also think, wow, this looks really unpolished. Am I out of my mind for thinking that?
I don't know. That's a good question.
It just looks really choppy and stiff.
It does a little bit, but part of that is, and I've learned to kind of like keep my mind on this. A lot of that we sometimes see, a lot of those issues that we sometimes see, most often are the result of like bad like video stuff, like somebody doesn't know how to do their job. I hate to say that, but yeah, it's like somebody doesn't know how to do their job when it comes to like video processing, because we have seen that in a bunch of places, and YouTube, video compression, that kind of stuff, that really does play into effect. So it is one of those things where it's like, I know that. I kind of keep that on my, it's sort of like something that I kind of think about a little bit, but yeah, it's a good question.
If I
It's a
get
good question.
if the game comes out and it gets like a whole bunch of like 5s and 6s across the board, then I don't know. I might be really discouraged to pick it up. But if it gets like upwards of like generally 7s, then I'll definitely pick it up. Even if like they say, oh, the gameplay's choppy or it's stiff or whatever. I love what they're trying to go for. It's a really like what you're just saying before. It's about trying to evolve gameplay. That's what we need to see more of, and that's what Slitterhead looks like it's trying to do. Whether it succeeds in that regard, we'll see. We'll find out in November. Let's see. And then the other thing pretty much was just Metal Gear Solid Delta. That was based, I'm a big Metal Gear Solid. I live and breathe Metal Gear Solid. And the trailers that we've been seeing coming out of Tokyo Game Show look great. We finally got our look at characters like Ocelot and Volgan. And oh my god, Evo looks perfect in Unreal Engine 5. I love Konami. Major kudos for keeping her looking good. But yeah, like gameplay and how the camo system works now, that you don't have to constantly go into the menus and stuff like that. It's looking really promising. Now we still don't have a release date. I'm anticipating that maybe it'll come out late summer, early fall of next year. They really seem to be taking their time with this because this is sort of like the big major foray back into game development. I mean, like you could say Silent Hill 2 Remake, but that's not exactly Konami. That's Bloober and Konami. This is just going to be purely Konami. So they want to get it right, because they want to bring back the Metal Gear franchise as a whole. And so they really need to knock this one out of the park. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Like aside from like a whole bunch of older games that are coming to like Xbox and like games like Trials of Mana and Secrets of Mana, sorry. You know what I'm trying to say. Katamari. Not a whole lot of stuff going on. But the little bits that we've gotten here and there are cool. Anything stand out to you?
Like I'm a huge fan of the Secret of Mana series.
Yeah.
But other than that, I haven't seen anything too crazy. But I also haven't had a chance to like meticulously go through everything yet, because there is a lot of games where, especially with the Japanese side of gaming companies, is like there is sometimes we don't get what's kind of like showcased right away, and so you kind of have to go through that because there's lots of games that come out that look great, and then they're only released in Japan for some reason, weird reason.
Mm-hmm.
So that I don't know. I've been excited for. There has been a bunch of other game announcements recently that I've been more excited about, including one of my favorite little like time wasters is Mechabellum, just released literally just a few days ago, and we've got the Mech Warrior Clan Invasion game coming. It was supposed to release August 3rd, but it got pushed back by 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So other than that, and a couple of the others, there's a lot of Japanese games where they take a little extra for localization. We're starting to see that becoming less and less of an issue. So I'm hoping that comes in, but nothing like too crazy that I've seen. Nothing that really like super stands out.
It's still happening too.
Yeah, we're getting more stuff for Power World. That's good. We're getting more stuff for Stellar Blade. It's not like getting expansion or anything, but it's getting some stuff. They're doing a crossover with Nier Automata
because of course they are.
yeah, right. And I like that because those are games that there's been a lot of controversy around, and seeing them coming out with stuff is a good sign, because it means that maybe people are finally listening to the players instead of listening to the corporate heads.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Heads, yes, I get you.
Yeah, those heads.
Yeah.
Yes, those heads. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like
So
the the slitter heads that we. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
right.
so yeah, Tokyo Game Show is still going on. Maybe there'll be a couple things like there's apparently like a Silent Hill showcase, or like maybe not a showcase, but right before we started recording, Masahiro Ito, Akira Toyama, and that big, the producer guy with the glasses that's doing all the Silent Hill stuff. Can't remember what the hell his name is. They're doing something right now at Tokyo Game Show, right as we're recording. So maybe there'll be something cool there. I don't know. Yeah, let's just move on from that. Let's get to the stuff like the juicy drama side. I feel like sometime pretty soon there's gonna be like a funeral for Ubisoft. Sarah McLachlan's gonna be playing. People are gonna be taking pictures, doing bunny fingers in front of the grave, like that whole meme. What the hell's been
Yeah.
going on this week with Ubisoft?
So more insanity with Ubisoft. At this point, I swear. At this point, I don't swear. At this point, I'm leaning heavily towards the idea that they have intentionally been dropping their stock in an effort to buy it back. I mentioned this last week, but at this point, there's an investigation that's been started, and there's been there's been a group of stockholders that are using a European rule to try and say, they're pointing their fingers at saying, hey, these guys are intentionally dropping their stock so that they can buy up more of it and have a larger control of it and force out a lot of these other companies from having a voice or having a say on their stocks
Hmm.
or like doing this. And I mean, the stock has dropped 90%. And the head of the family who owns Ubisoft, he's been kind of getting near retirement age for a while. My 4D chess move, if I were him and I had no morals, no scruples, and I didn't care about fans, I didn't care about IPs, I only cared about making as much money as I could. If I were him, I would have done exactly what he would have done up until this point, and I would have known that at some point there was going to be kind of like a big huff, and that once I had secured the most amount of money in the form of new stock purchases and kind of pushing out people who were causing problems, at that point I would have said, okay, I am going to retire now and step down because, this was all my fault, and then give all of that control that I just cemented to my kids who are running the majority of the board.
It's not
It's like,
crazy, man. It's not a
it's
crazy theory, because look what happened to Assassin's Creed Shadows. They moved it to February, which is the
mhm.
same month that Civilization 7's coming out. That's going to be, it's not going to be huge, but there's a huge contingent of hardcore Civilization fans that will definitely buy it. There's Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which a lot of people are really hyped for, especially because we don't really have like a quasi, it's not fantasy, but something like an Elder Scrolls type combat system where you're out in in the forest and stuff. That's what Kingdom Come Deliverance is sort of trying to fill the gap for. And then speaking of which, Avowed comes out a week after Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Definitely want to check that out. I'm the more I see of the game, the more I'm starting to like it. And then of course, Monster Hunter Wilds, which is going to be huge. All of that is releasing in the same month as Assassin's Creed Shadows. That's not good. And why would they make a decision like that? Well, it aids your theory, man. Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is just kind of like really bizarre when you think about it. There's just so much stuff that just something is going on, and it's probably like it's probably not good, honestly. But yeah, if it's not that, then I mean this is in massive trouble. Like, I mean, this is the best case scenario for Ubisoft and the IPs that it currently owns. I hate to say it, but if this is just how they think, and this is just their new way of like making video games, like the letter that he put out was the head
So
of
tone
Ubisoft
deaf.
put out absolutely idiotic. I mean, I hate to say it, but absolutely moronic on such an extreme level of just, it's not the stupidest thing that we have this week to talk about, but yeah, this is a metric level of stupidity where he's going, I don't understand why nobody's buying our games. The journalists love the games. It's like, at what point in media in the last 5 years, and I know there's a lot of people who honestly believe this, but they believe that the Metacritic high-end critics that review, music and video games and movies and stuff like that, that they know what they're talking about. I mean, this has been, and this isn't new. Like, this goes all the way back to, what was it, Siskel and Ebert?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, where they would, oh, this movie was not something that I enjoyed at all. Despite the fact that all the people enjoy it. And they give these awards to these movies that you have never heard of because they're not in theaters. They're at, like, art shows where a handful of people walk in, they watch a film, they get up, they clap, they go, oh, so beautiful, so beautiful. What's it about? It's about a dog who ends up eating his lower half and then dies. It's like, that sounds absolutely terrible. But you don't understand because you're a pleb. That's the kind of stuff that they've been. And so again, this problem's been around forever. This is not a new problem. This has been around forever. But to hear him go, I don't understand why nobody likes the game. Why does nobody like the game? The game has been so good. We don't understand. I don't understand. Why does nobody like the game? This is so bizarre. It's like, again, it's like you're just kind of sitting there going, well, like, there's 1,000 different reasons why, and you probably have missed out on all of them because you're an absolute dunderhead. I'm sorry to say it, but you are. This is absolutely ridiculous and stupid. So yeah, I don't know what to do about that. But yeah, that's.
And just the last day or two, we've heard like some people who have been like Ubisoft employees that have been reaching out anonymously to people that on YouTube that have been covering the situation and basically just saying like all the rumors that you guys have been hearing are true. Nobody can really speak out against like some of the things that have been happening in terms of game design to say whether or not it might be a good idea or not a good idea. There's because of that, there's not as much innovation as these games could have. There's also a report that I saw that apparently there are senior level developers who are being pushed out so that they could be replaced by junior level developers who've only been there for like 3 or 4 years, but they're favoring them because it doesn't cost as much to hire them. Right? That's, oh my God, that is so brain dead, dude.
It's either we have a full-on conspiracy of massive proportions of major stupidity, or we are literally looking at what will be, without a doubt, the death of a major gaming studio because they have completely lost touch with reality. They have completely disconnected from everything that makes gaming and video gaming good. It's been, it's an absolute travesty. It's like that is most likely what we're looking at. And that's kind of like sad because like neither of these situations are good. Like I'm not hoping that one or the other is what's happening because we're going to see a lot of like really terrible and sad stuff go on over the next few years. So
yeah, I just hope that if things completely go down the tubes, that at the very least we get Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, have it come out and have it at least be good. Because that game, I've been waiting for it for like, 6 years? And the original game is literally in my top 5 favorite games of all time. But at this point, it's a pilot light of hope that I'm just keeping alive. Yeah, there'll be a lot more to talk about with Ubisoft over the next month or two, and especially in the new year. But we'll move on from that. Next piece of big news that came out, we finally got our first look at The Last of Us Season 2. Did you ever get a chance to watch Season 1 of The Last of Us?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I watched most of it. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, for game stuff, I always did like the first game. I think the second game is a
Yeah.
travesty of everything you could possibly imagine.
Right.
I honestly like despise the writing, the storytelling, everything. I think it's one of the biggest blunders that we've ever seen in video gaming ever.
Mhm.
But the first game was really good, and the because partially because of the other writers that were fired between the first game and the second game. But yeah, I think that it was decent. I'm hoping that what we can see with season two is an actual repairing of the storyline,
Right.
going into it a little bit deeper. Hopefully, like coming out with like better content and direction and stuff like that. Um, yeah, fingers crossed. I'm hoping that that's going to be the way it's going to be. So
Yeah. Like you, I was disappointed with The Last of Us Part Two, the game. I wouldn't say I'm as uh, I don't hate it like a lot of people do, but I was disappointed in it. And the reason why is not because of certain things that happen, certain events that happen in that game. It's more how those events happened. Now, like what you just said, what the TV show can do is it can recognize, okay, these are the good things that happened. Can we rearrange them in such a way that they make more sense and they pay off in ways that are narratively fulfilling in the TV show? And I think there's a lot of potential to do that. They demonstrated with the first season that they were able to do that quite well. There were things that were added in that were completely new, that were wonderful for the most part. And stuff that was familiar was, took on different forms, and, it was still familiar, but was rearranged in certain ways to make it more interesting. And because the first season was, in my opinion, so fantastic, probably the best video game adaptation that we've gotten since, like, with the exception of Arcane, I do have faith that they're going to do at least some of that. Maybe not, I don't know, like, there's reason to have hope, I'll say. And, if everything ends up being like total crap, at the very least, Sybe, it'll be a good looking show. Like with that trailer, dude, the cinematography in the first season was amazing. The cinematography in this trailer is amazing. Like when Abby gets trucked, there's a character that's introduced in season 2 named Abby. When she gets trapped under the chain link fence, when you saw all those I can't remember what the hell they're called, zombies coming down the snowy hill towards the city, that looked terrifying. And then just the wide sweeping vistas, man, it's some really, really expertly directed stuff. And I can't wait to, just as somebody who went to school for I majored in audio engineering, but I also worked on films and stuff like that. I'm really interested in this sort of stuff, and this is just like candy to me. So, yeah, we don't know exactly when it's coming out. It's coming out in 2025. But yeah, I'll definitely give it a shot. Here's hoping it's better than the game. All right. What else have we got, Sybe?
well, we have some. I don't know. We have some? We have some slightly good news with KOTOR.
What's
We'll,
that?
we'll, we'll talk with this. Apparently, things are going fine.
What do you mean fine?
the head of the studio, who now has the KOTOR remake, remember it went from what was it? It went from one company to Asprey and
It's at Saber now, right?
this company. Like they this has been a cursed project for the past 3 studios that have had this. But now apparently the remake is going fine.
According to who?
The head of the studio who now has it, which which I can't remember the name of, and I read the article an hour ago. I'm sure that nobody else is going to know who the hell this company is either. So I am I honestly think that that's probably better than most studios that we know of.
Hmm.
Like, sure, in a perfect world, Larian announces that they've, got the rights to KOTOR permanently, and they're doing a complete rebrand of, a complete redo of KOTOR 1, KOTOR 2, remaking the whole narrative. It's going to create this brand new, brilliant thing. That's a fever dream. We're not getting that.
It would be the
We're
greatest
getting
game ever made, but yeah, it would be a
Oh
fever
yeah,
dream.
it would be. It would be. But what we're getting now is we're getting this, this brand sort of brand new company that nobody's really heard of now has it after two other studios have lost the remake capability on this, and it's just like, okay, right. Well, is it going to be good or is it going to be garbage? And we don't know. But I will tell you what's better than this. And I I didn't know if we wanted to talk about this, but there is a, what is it, COD or something, some stupid shooter came out with a wheelchair person
Oh,
who,
Ubisoft again.
after they
Rainbow
became
Six
bound to a
Siege.
wheelchair,
Sorry, I had
they
myself. Sorry, I had myself muted on Discord while I just said what I just said. It's Rainbow Six Siege. That's Ubisoft.
right. So Rainbow Six Siege, I I I think that having more disabled people in games is fine. There's nothing wrong with
Oh
that,
yeah.
but you have to do it in a smart way. And this is not a smart way. The person designs and creates two robots, humanoid robots that can run around and shoot and use cover and all this kind of stuff. At some point, you got to ask yourself, why didn't she just make herself an Iron Man bodysuit? Like with that level of technology, you could have made yourself one hell of an Iron Man bodysuit to run around as your, impervious soldier. But instead, the person's in a wheelchair that they have to push with their hands, whilst also having, a computer set up in front of them where they need to type with their hands to control the robots.
Mm.
Oh, stupid. So yeah, that's the one. That's the stupid of the week goes to that stuff.
More
And
Ubisoft.
I really hope that KOTOR is going to be good. I really do.
Yeah.
The the fact that it's still funded, and the fact that the guy has come out and said, yeah, no, everything's going great. We're making significant progress. I guess that's a good sign. And again, honestly, I think that it would be better for the remake to be under a studio that nobody knows about, because at least you have the potential of like getting something good. But again, in this day and age of companies and studios doing things like what Ubisoft has done here, is like there's no hope that we're going to get good stuff from the big studios. So at this point, I literally am cheering on the small guys, going, yeah, give it a shot. Because like if EA had their hands on this, it would be garbage.
Sure.
If I hate to say it, but if BioWare had their hands on this, it would be garbage. Because yeah, I'm not loving the look of Dragon Age. It looks like mobile game.
Yeah.
It looks like a mobile game. It's like somebody's made it for the sole purposes of having a mobile game, which apparently is what the rumor is around Concord. It's going to be released as a mobile game. Yeah, it's going to be brilliant.
Well, I mean, mobile gamers are a different breed from.
They are. They are.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
So yeah, there's the plethora of bizarre news, but in the good news, I have been keeping my eye on Mech Warriors.
Oh, what's going on with that?
Invasion. So that's the one I talked about. Is like it was supposed to come out on October 3rd, but it got pushed back by 2 weeks. They had some issues that they needed to repair. I like it when they do that, because I hate when a game comes out and it's like first 3 weeks are like unplayable. You got to wait for a patch. But the stuff that I've been seeing about the game is it looks like it's really, really good.
Nice.
I'm a huge fan of. It's probably like one of the best like universes. Because 40K is just horrible. It's cool, but it's horrible. You would never want to be in the universe of 40K, because it's like you're
Unless you're the God Emperor. But even then, maybe
well,
not.
I mean, even then, you're dead on a throne. It's like there is just horrible stuff. Now it's a cool universe, and the gameplay is really cool, and I think that the new Marines game has absolutely been smashing it. It's been
Yeah.
great to see that happen. But the BattleTech universe is probably like one of my favorite sci-fi universes that has had so little done with it. It's had the games, there's a couple of books, but the lore is just it's so good. The story is so good. The direction is so good. And then you just have these giant, behemoth mechs walking around kicking each other. It's so cool. And you get all of the cool stuff from basically everything else. There's like sci-fi cyborg cat girls, and there's big muscly born in a tank dudes who run around in giant mech suits, or not giant mech suit, like giant compared to normal people, and just punch the crap out of these 5-story tall mech, giant war robots. So it's such a cool universe. I'm really looking forward to the game. I really hope that it just absolutely nails it.
Mhm.
But yeah, we'll see. But I mean, other than that, and a whole bunch of, I'd say, from the Tokyo Game Show, from a little bit of the other indie stuff coming out, the other showcases, Civilization. We do have really good games coming that have learned and evolved from stuff in the past. Again, ArcAge, the new ArcAge MMO, where it's like we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I think when it comes to all of the bad stuff that we've had in gaming,
Mhm.
we're going to start seeing it better and better and better. And I hope that people who have been fired, I hope they go out of their way and create their own indie studios, because the big boys are going to come down, like 100%.
Yeah.
The big boys are crashing. Now is the time to build smaller new studios, work up to something, and then you're going to end up replacing them. We've seen this before. It's happened before. This is how it's going to go again.
Yeah. Just because we got Ubisoft going down the tubes right now.
So bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And like we've been saying forever, man, it's indie studios and AA studios that are going to be picking up the slack. Now's the time. Yeah. Was that pretty much it?
Yeah, that's pretty
Wow.
much it. Like,
Okay. All right.
yeah.
Well,
It's been a hell of a week for me. I know it's been a busy week for you. Hopefully things will get back to some level of normalcy soonish.
yeah, it's going to be really busy in the next week or two. 'Cause I was just saying this to you before we recorded, but like Silent Hill 2 Remake is coming out like in literally a week. And because I'm like the Silent Hill guy on YouTube, people are going to want me to play it and give my thoughts on it. All the while, I've got a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm working on for October. So, yeah, and then you got all your stuff like going on in your neck of the woods. Good stuff, but it's just really, really busy
it's
stuff.
good stuff. But it has been really busy. It's been all over the place, and I appreciate the support and the love from everybody. It's been great.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got stuff rolling on the balls, and all the balls.
Rolling on the balls and the balls be rolling. Right. Yeah. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for this episode of Maximum News. We got through that pretty quickly. That's good. We got through a whole bunch of really generally solid news. I mean, not Ubisoft, but that it's solid in the sense that we can laugh at it. Make sure you hit the like button, leave a comment if you have any thoughts on any or all the stuff that Simon and I talked about today. So thanks as always for doing this with me. Anything left to say before we're done?
No, that's about it.
All right, cool. You guys find me on all the regular forms of social media. Just at Max Derrat. I'll put a link to that in the description box below. Should have a video out by, let's see, we're recording this on Saturday. So I want to release the next video on Friday. And then I might, it's tricky, man. I don't want to pre-order Silent Hill 2 Remake because you and I are always saying we never pre-order. But I'm sort of in a precarious situation because I need like as much time as I can over the next couple of weeks to cover all this stuff. So I might just have to bite the bullet and get it. I'll pre-order it like right up until the day. Sorry, I'm not being very clear, but in case people don't know, if you pre-order the digital deluxe version of the game, you get the game 2 days early. And the way I'm justifying it is that because people care about my opinion, if I tell them, hey, the game sucks, don't play it, hey, I mean, I bite the bullet, and then, a whole bunch of people don't buy the game, right? So, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, stay tuned for that. Make sure you go check my channel out for that. And that'll do it until next week, guys, when we do this again. But until then, I want to remind you guys, as always, and as per usual, stay yellow.
Goodbye.